Hey guys, it's Sam, and I finally had the time to do the long-awaited, for me and not you guys, because you guys didn't know I wanted to do this, fire tutorial with Copic. And definitely check out the description because I have the same tutorial with Crayola markers. Definitely check it out. Anyway, so this is sped up 2 times, so it's 200%, and that's just because the whole thing was, I think, 20 minutes, and I didn't want to have you guys watch the full-time thing, so 2 times that's slow enough. And anyway, so I started was just picking out colors, and the first thing that I did was open up Google and go on an image search and just type fire and just look at what the images have and what colors are in the images. And I really recommend that, especially if you don't have as many markers as I do, because I know I have a lot, and I know you guys probably don't have all of my colors. So it doesn't have to be the exact colors I use. I put a list of all the colors I use in the description. It also depends on what kind of fire you want to do. You also don't have to do normal looking fire, like blue fire or something more vibrant or softer. Totally up to you guys. Anyway, so getting straight to the fire, since I already started coloring, what you can do when you're first starting out is using a pencil or just something other light marking pen sort of thing, and just kind of jiggle your hand around. Since this is fire, we don't need straight lines, and this doesn't have to be accurate. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's wild, it's random, so that makes it a lot easier to actually work with, I think. So for the first one, I took a pencil and I kind of just lightly sketched a little bit of the outline that I wanted to do. I didn't 100% follow it, but you know, again, that's okay. It can be random, it's fire. So what I do is I start from the coolest temperature, which is the more reds and oranges, darker oranges, and I work my way to the lighter yellows, which is the hottest part. If you want to go backwards, that's fine. I find it's a lot easier for me to blend if I start with the coolest part of the fire and work my way to the hottest. A lot of this is going to be a trial and error, and this isn't like the first time I've drawn fire. I've played around with it before, and it really helps to have references. I can't push that enough. And you don't have to be exact either when you lay down your colors. I just was kind of blotchy and shaky, and not all of my lines always connected. And I also left a lot of white space for the really hot parts because I don't really like the colors that I have, and I don't really like all of the Copic colors that are there to kind of represent that hottest center part. And because I tried earth tones in the past, like really light ones, like white people's skin colors, like the light E's, like E00, or even like Y32, just those kind of more pale colors. And I'm not super fond of them. I think it really depends on what you're going for. But for these fires specifically, I basically just stuck with, for Copics, the yellow-orange and the yellow, and that's all I stuck with. If you want to go really more dramatic, because after my Copics have dried, I've noticed that they are fairly light, and despite the fact that that's kind of matches my references, I think something darker like YR68, which is probably the darkest orange I have, that would work, or something like it would work. The darkest color that I've used in this was YR04, but again, doesn't really matter. Another thing you probably noticed that I've been using is the Colorless Blender. You do not have to have the Colorless Blender to do this. You can use normal alcohol. And I've actually refilled my Colorless Blender with alcohol because it was running low, but the alcohol I used I think was 70%, and that was kind of a mistake because that was really watered down. And I just recently purchased some higher percentage alcohol. I think it was like 97 or something, and that should work a lot better. And so if you're going to use alcohol and not the Colorless Blender, find the most percent that you can, because that means it's more alcohol. Since Copics are alcohol based, they need to blend with alcohols. They can't blend with water. And in case you guys were curious, I'm using just computer paper. It's just normal printer paper. I didn't really want to use my sketchbook. I was kind of lazy. That paper is a bit thicker, but this is, I like using printer paper with my artwork. I'm cheap like that. But anyway, So yeah, just trying different clumps and shapes, and I think it helps to just really play around and look at what you can do and just think about what you can do. If you want to see more artistic references, I very much recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender. That or Korra, which is the same series. They have firebenders, which are people who bend fire, if you don't know the show. And the animation is beyond beautiful. So if you want like drawn fire to also get more ideas, though I do really want to push realistic actual photos, or if you can, like real life fire, even a candle or something is different and interesting, and you can learn from that too. But anyway, if you wanted anime drawn references, I definitely recommend the Avatar series for ideas, and even if you want to try and emulate those with your markers. Now, if you didn't notice from the beginning, I did decap all of the markers. With Copics, I like to work really fast, and for something that's with fire, I really want those colors to blend, and I don't normally do this. I've found that I've only really needed to do this with fire, but this is like a personal preference thing, of course. But anyway, just to decap them all, and then I can just quickly pick them up, put them back down, and I had an order of them in the darkest to the lightest, and that really helped because then I could just keep track of which color to pick up next without having to really think all that hard about it. This next one, I actually did something a little bit different, and I wanted a little bit of a challenge for myself, and I'm pretty happy with the results, and actually came out really cool. Again, colors for everything in the description. This is just a campfire. I was looking up references for campfires, so I was just seeing what they had, and it was interesting to see how cool the shadows were, given that the light source is so warm. So that was kind of neat. So I actually put in some blues with my shades, and I maybe could have gone with a little bit of purple, but I think the blue still works out alright. And it was a bit of a challenge. I was kind of doing this on the spot, and but it turned out pretty good, so I was happy with that. And for the embers at the bottom, I know I'm not at that part yet, I'm just at the wood, which was just 2 earth tones, and then I used the blue over it, which kind of softened it up and added that nice cool dark shadow. But anyway, for the embers, they were pretty dark, so I just used my darkest, the YR04, and I just put little dots in it. I didn't really care too much about shape. Again, this is fire, and it's kind of random, so the shape is really not like something that you need to worry. I feel that you need to worry all too much about. I think as long as it looks random and it's not uniform, it will look more realistic. Now for the rocks, I put down a base of blue first. I'm sorry, I can't actually remember which blue I put down first. It might have been B95. And I figured that would actually help lay a nice blue tinted shadow. So when I went back over it with the earth tones, it was not completely brown. There was blue in it, and it was a nice mixture. For the wood pieces that were sticking out of the fire and more like going inside of it, I didn't want to have that blue go all the way in because it's not going to have any shadows the further in that it goes. So what I did is I kept getting lighter and lighter in quick succession and have the wood kind of disappear into the center of the campfire. You don't want to have a lot of detail towards the center, which is the hottest point of the fire, because that's where it's going to be the brightest and there's going to be the least amount of color, because it's going to be closest to whites. So you want to try and keep all of the attention on the outer edges of the fire. I know I have that little 3 groupings. That was also from a reference. The fire was kind of wrapping around wood. I didn't put wood in that reference, but I mean, just kind of understand that the center, the hottest point, is where you want the least amount of detail. Now for the fire tornadoes, which were super fun, and if you guys are gonna try this, oh my god, you have to do it, it's a lot of fun. But basically I'm thinking about how it's twisting, and fire tornadoes are a real thing. You can find real references on them, and I think the Slow-Mo guys, the YouTube channel, just recently did a video of them creating a fire tornado. So go search for that, because that's also a super great reference. Another thing you could do is also look at normal tornadoes, and you just really want to focus on that twist, because you want it to look like it's turning and it's twisting. You want it to be a tornado, and the shape of it is also going to kind of vary depending on how you want that tornado to look. So again, references are your friends. Another thing I noticed when I was looking at fire tornado references is that the fire kind of bunches at the bottom towards the, what's it called? The little strippy thing, the the tornado part itself, like where it touches the ground. There we go, that part. It kind of bunches up towards there, so I was playing around with that, and that was really fun, and it's a good challenge, I think, if you want to try and figure out this technique. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you guys, and these tips are useful. Just play around. That's the best thing I can tell you, is just to experiment and look at references. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully that helped, and don't forget to check out the Crayola marker version linked in the description below. And thanks for watching. Bye!